Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today at Penang Institute. My name is Dr. Bamiting and I'm your MC for today. And of course, today we are very honored to have our distinguished guest and speaker, Dr. Sandiaga Uno, former Indonesian Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, His Excellency Wanton Sarage, Consul General of the Republic of Indonesia in Penang, and of course, my boss, Datuk Dr. Ui Ki Beng, Executive Director of Penang Institute. Now, without further ado, I'd like to invite Datuk Dr. Ui to give a few words of welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mei-Ting. Thank you all for coming. Well, we are indeed very honored. Let me say that again, that Dr. Sandiaga Salahuddin Uno is with us. And of course, you see in the introduction to him of a very prominent politician and businessman. Now, for once, we're using the word prominent in a very not exaggerated way. I think when I read up about you, this is a great influencer in the field of politics and in the field of business, entrepreneurship, encouragement, and the building up and support for SMEs and so on. I think in the Indonesian context, you call it what, UMKM, is that right? It's one of those issues that we in Penang talk a lot about. What do we do for the MSMEs? I think, believe it or not, 99% of our companies are MSMEs. So, then the rest are MNCs, whatever. So a lot of our people are small businessmen. And so it's, of course, very, very exciting for us to have you here to talk about what the Indonesians and what you have been doing where SMEs have been concerned. Now, I jumped on ahead because I'm so excited that you're here. We're all very happy you're here. And I should also tell the crowd here that we have with us today the Consul General of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Wanton Sarage. So welcome to Penang Institute. And I hope this is not the last time that you're here. You're very welcome to join our events. We do have a lot of events here. And so that's why we're excited that you're here. And all of you might not know, this is Pak Sandi's first trip to Penang. He's been hundreds of times to Malaysia, but not to Penang. I don't know where the fault lies. Is it Penang that doesn't sell itself well enough? But it's also the times, I think. I think Penang has suddenly become quite important regionally, economically, politically, and so on. And so your coming is symptomatic of that new era, I think. We had a little chat before this, and Pasandi is also here with a group to look at our medical tourism. They think too many Indonesians actually come here. No, but they are here to look for ways to collaborate with us and to work with our hospital systems and so on. And of course, to discuss our economic progress. Why is Semicon so well developed here and not in Batam, for example? Of course, there are lots of reasons, and I'm hoping that the gentlemen and ladies here will come back. You're very welcome to Penang Institute and to Penang to discuss all these issues in the future. I think this is a time when regionalism is growing, when there are dark war clouds in the global arena. I think it's even more important that Southeast Asia and East Asia, that we actually make the most of ASEAN and all the structures that have been built over the last 70 years or so to expand regionalism, because we all believe that regionalism is the basis for everything, for our well-being, for harmony in the region, social harmony, and for economic growth. So may I now welcome Pak Sandi to the stage to talk about this subject, the future of small businesses in a protectionist world order. Pak Sandi?
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Good afternoon. Thank you for that very kind introductions, Dr. Wee Kibeng and friends from Penang Institute and other leaders of the group. It is my extreme honor to be here to discuss about the small business. We call it UMKM, ultra micro, micro, and small and medium enterprises in this very challenging time where a lot of things are happening at the same time, but also to see potential collaborations between Indonesia and Malaysia, and in particular between Penang and other regions in Indonesia. I would like to also welcome Pak Konjen. Thank you very much, Pak Konjen, for being here with Ibu Yomi and the team from the Indonesian Consulate General. I did not realize that Indonesia have a full team of around 60 team members helping Pak Konjen, and all 60s were joining me in the run this morning. 60 joined in the start and the finish. During the run, only 5 joined. But we had a good run this morning along the Gurney Bay, and it was a wonderful sight, very early sunrise in my first trip to Penang. I would like to also introduce to the audience here a couple of members from our team. First is Ibu Leona Karnali. She's President Director of Primaya Hospitals. And it's really a big honor that Ibu Leona can join. She's very busy building her hospital groups. We used to work together, and hopefully we look forward to working together again. And also, other than Primaya, I'd like to introduce Pak Norman from Brawijaya Group. Also, this hospital group is fast growing. Both are somewhat associated with my investment firm that I started more than 25 years ago, Saratoga Capital. So they're here to visit and also see potential collaborations opportunity, because there goes the saying of, if you cannot beat them, join them. But we are at ASEAN, sometimes we focus more on competitions. We forgot about collaborations. So they are here to look at potential collaborations of this $10 billion a year. Roughly, I got the number from the Minister of Health last night. Budi mentioned that that's the amount of money that Indonesia spends overseas to get healthcare, as well as from very simple procedures like medical checkup to more complex procedures. And also I'm here with Pak Heri. I would like to introduce Pak Heri from Ciater. We're developing wellness tourism, and his place in West Java, not far from Bandung, which is a favorite for Malaysians to visit, offer a very good place for medical rehab because it has a hot springs and also very beautiful mountainous view. And at the same time also that Penang Hill is building the cable car project. We are comparing notes because we were thinking about building similar facilities in in Ciater near Subang. So hopefully that would add to this smart transport system and also the green economy, because it operates on a very, very efficient, new and renewable energy. I'm also here with Pak Panca Sarungu. Thank you, Pak Panca. Pak Panca is head of Raja Mais. Raja means king, and not Musang King, but he likes Musang King. But King of Mice in Indonesia. So there are many meeting, incentive, conventions, and exhibitions, events that we could collaborate with Penang. And I would like to thank Pak Fazil, who was with Penang Institute to arrange for this trip. So maybe I would start with very limited slides, and then we could jump into a very more detailed discussions. When we talk about Indonesia, we often picture vast islands, rich cultures, and also vibrant cities. And you see from Jakarta to Bali how Indonesia have been portraying themselves. But beneath those five islands, beneath the cultures and traditions, the true strength and the inner core strength lies in the true engine of our economy. And what is our true engine of our economy? It's actually the 60 million plus micro, small, and medium enterprises. They contribute to more than 60% of the GDP of the country, and they contribute to provide 97% of the jobs that is being available for Indonesia's populations. These are not just businesses, but these are the dreams. These are the stories of families bringing food onto the table. These are the stories of mothers who are building kitchens, and from kitchens to become small catering companies and mom and pop stores, and later on they would venture into malls. These stories are about the young generations, the youth, turning their hobbies into startups, their hobbies into real businesses, building communities, and turning struggles around difficult economic times into success. And in particular, we just went through COVID, some of these businesses through the various crises, not just COVID, Asian financial crisis, they have been the backbone and the story of how Indonesia economy survived. So these are some of the numbers that I would like to share. The number is right now at 66 million, but please pause here. We should not be very proud of the numbers, but actually this is actually a challenge, because some of these micro and ultra micro entrepreneurs are there because of the inexistence of formal quality jobs to them. So they become entrepreneurs by sheer necessities, I would say by accident. Pretty much like how I started my business. In 97, I lost my job at the investment firm, and I did not have income. I did not have any ways of bringing food to the table. So I went back to my parents' house. I launched 10 applications, got 20 rejections. That's how bad the economy was. There are companies who have not got my applications but say, no, please, don't come near me. But that was the turning point where I switched my mindset from looking for a job to start creating a job for myself. So I started my financial company doing consulting, and it started just by the three of us. And after 25 years, through ups and downs, peak and valleys, now the investment firms that were associated with me have now account to create 30,000 jobs across Indonesia. So that's how I start, by having difficulties, by having adversities, and turning it from a venture that is once would be classified as micro into a small companies, into a medium company, then become large companies. And if you see the growth, this is the challenging part. The growth is very, very, I would say, stagnant, below where the growth of the economies. So the backbone of Indonesia's economy, yes, but as a means towards a springboard to become a much larger entities, it remains a challenge. And like what Dr. Uy said, 99% of Indonesia's businesses are MSMEs. So this is actually, if you compare to the US and China, who have much less micro, small, medium enterprises, that means that we need to consolidate the number of SMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises, so that it become in China 20 to 25 million only. In the US, is much lower than that. So how do we push these consolidations? Several strategies, but at the core of the first strategy is actually digitalizations. And this is the story of survivals and growth. There are many challenges that these micro, small, medium enterprises, mom and pop stores are facing, but the digitalizations is actually one of the, I would say, an avenue, an open avenue for them in terms of how they could consolidate. And this is the numbers of how many of the Indonesia's micro, small, medium enterprises have adopted the digitalizations, from merely about 5 to 6 million in 2019, all the way last year, it is already reaching 30 million. But the number of the digital platform needs to be consolidating in terms of how the numbers of revenues, numbers of jobs being created. And right now, there are only two pillars that you could see showing a very strong performance, which is the e-commerce and the fintech. And in order to expand market access for financial inclusions, whereby only less than 30% of the micro, small, medium enterprises have access to finance, these two sectors have clearly played a significant role. I would like to touch next, where are the MSMEs in terms of this tariff war or protectionism that has been lately becoming the part of the news. I spoke with some culinary business people who are engaging in exports as well as in local productions. They are seeing that this talk of tariff wars have increased their cost of productions as high as 30%. But sometimes we need to look just not too far to the United States or to China or to Europe, but to our neighbors, our friends. So I think the answers of how we empower and strengthen these micro, small, medium enterprises is to embrace regional diplomacy and ASEAN. Right now, we talk about ASEAN during our founding fathers of ASEAN, Pak Suharto, Tun Mahathir. We talk about a more like, I think Pak Konjen would agree, a lot of issues in relations to security issues, but very little have been focused on the economic issues. And ASEAN needs to work harder in terms of integrating their economies. We found out today the two hotspots for tourism in Indonesia is Bali, here is Penang. There is no straight flight. For Pak Pancha to come here, although Pak Konjen said that's close to 90 flights, there is no direct flights between Penang and Denpasar, Bali. In terms of connectivity, the largest Buddhist temple with one of the UNESCO sites here in Penang, between Yogyakarta and Penang, there's no straight flight. And this is something that I think must be done in terms of integrating our economy. Interconnectivity. Exports is about 20% of Indonesia's economy, but we need to look at how the two economies, Penang, Malaysia, Indonesia, needs also to boost exports. One area is that we focus pretty much like the US. Trump have been championing this MAGA, Make America Great Again. During COVID, in order to strengthen our economy, we have this program called Bangga Buatan Indonesia. So it's pretty similar, but at the end of the day, Malaysia and Indonesia share the same sort of like culture, like batik that I'm wearing, what Dr. Uy is wearing. This is actually, we could make it proud to wear batik, which is actually going to benefit the two economies. Malaysia's in terms of technology, you mentioned about Batam, which started at around the same time in the 70s to embrace semiconductor business. How it could actually benefit also from some of this changing topography of the world's economies, how Batam and Penang can work even closer together because they are pretty much linked. Batam is linked to Singapore, Singapore is linked to Johor, and then you go on to here to Penang. So I'm very interested also in this trip to find my first trip to Penang, what sort of like fiscal incentives, what sort of like permits and license package that's being offered. We acknowledge the former Minister of Trades of State of Penang is here. What sort of like policies that we could advocate to empower the local entrepreneurs? Because then again, Indonesia's economy is being supported by local entrepreneurs, and this $10 billion that you are receiving is actually going to be linked to how good the Indonesian economy is. So it's a lot of symbiotic relationship that we could also push if we have focus on this regional diplomacy between Malaysia and Indonesia. I built, together with our friends in Malaysia, the longest toll road in Indonesia at that time in 2015. This is like almost like a 20 years project. It started by Pak Suharto during B.J. Habibie, Abdurrahman Wahid, Megawati, continuing to bring up the project. It actually got started construction during Pak SBY, and Pak Jokowi was lucky enough to inaugurate that in 2015. This is a 116 kilometers toll road constructed by both us and UEM and operated by Plus and the Opus system from Malaysia. That shows collaborations whereby EPF Maxim and other Malaysian banks doing a cross-border investments. And this is something that we believe could also be focused, be it a cable car or industrial opportunities that focus on AI and semiconductors, or medical tourism that Pak Norman and Ibu Leona are looking to actually enhance. So it's not like taking the pie away from Penang or going to end demand from Indonesia, but increasing and making the pie larger, and then each can take a win-win solutions approach to look at growing together. Next, I want to share about my entrepreneurial program. It's called OKOC. I started this in 2016, 2017 as part of a government campaign. One kecamatan or one district, one center for entrepreneurship. And since 2017, it has now engaged almost 500,000 participants. And then the three main pillars that I would like to share here through community-based entrepreneurship has been training. And this is something that probably Penang Institute and us can collaborate. Mentoring. Sometimes we say, oh, we got the knowledge already. Now it's about time to do it. But the most important thing is mentoring. Once you have the knowledge, you need to have a mentor in order for you to grow your business. And then you ended up with the job creations. I travel across Indonesia since the 2019 presidential elections. I was 5 years too early. I kept on saying, I was campaigning with Pak Prabowo. But like in business, in politics, timing is everything. I missed being vice president of Indonesia, but I learned that at the end of the day, the center for all of our endeavors is innovations. So when I lost the elections in 2019, I was thinking what sort of like innovations that we could do. And in the past, political rivals compete, and then once got elected, the other become oppositions and keep on hammering the other side. So I was thinking, because we love our country so much, that's why we spend money, time, efforts into running for offices. Why can't we collaborate? So I started talking to Pak Prabowo and then later on to Pak Jokowi. And in 2019, it was the first innovation done in Indonesian politics and never been done before, which is the winning pair, winning candidates actually magnanimous enough to embrace the losing candidates. Pak Prabowo became a defense minister. And that was the innovations for us to build a unity government. And that, of course, led to 5 years later, Pak Prabowo getting the mandate to lead Indonesia. So I hope these innovations that we started in 2019 continue in our politics, because political cycles is always 5 years of political cycles. Well, but building the nations should not be done in a cycle. Building the nation is continuous. So that's why hopefully democratizing entrepreneurship and looking how we could build the country together, build the communities together could be done in a collaborative way. So maybe I stop here, and then if there are any questions, remarks, or discussions, I would like to answer and maybe comment on your remarks. And I truly believe that by being here, we could hopefully could create a much more sustainable partnership going forward. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, I've been looking at regional politics for the last 20, 30 years. And well, what you mentioned, 2019, when suddenly Jokowi wins and then he embraces Prabowo. And I thought, what is this? And I thought it was a stroke of genius. And in one go, you took away all the bad effects of the democratic system, where, like you say, you after you lose, you start attacking everything, right? And suddenly, Indonesia, over the last 5 years or so, had a system of government where the opposition did well. The critics would say the opposition no longer existed, but it
Well,
just
we have other oppositions in the form of social media. So
But
there's
it-
still people critiquing the government, but at least it's a healthy way because definitely, you need to always have um, inputs because that's democracy. You need to get the best inputs from everywhere and try to get the positive part while weed away the negative parts.
I suppose it allows for very constructive criticism instead of trying to win points, right? So I'm really honored that you're the man behind that.
Well, I initiated, but
Okay.
definitely Pak Jokowi and Pak Prabowo
well done,
were
well
the main actors. But as a vice president candidate at that time, I had the mouthpiece. I could talk to
Yes, I
them
get- okay.
and say that we could repeat what 5 years ago, and again, it's going to be a very very
Yeah.
expensive ordeal, or we could form a unity government because this is what the country needs to be united. And during COVID, then we look back, had we not done that unity government, some of the measures that we did during COVID would not be possible because we have a united parliament, we have a united government, you have a united executive branch. Some of the very tough COVID measures were supported by the entire branch of government.
I don't know what you guys think, but I thought it was a stroke of genius what Prabowo and Jokowi did a few years ago. Any comments on that from the Penang crowd? Yeah, please.
Sorry, Pa, I have a question here. Pa has always been, I think, one of the drivers for the HIPMI program in Indonesia, which I think is very good. That's something possibly that we may want to look into. Perhaps you could explain a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. HIPMI is basically an organization that started in 1972. It stands for Himpunan Pengusaha Muda Indonesia, which is the Indonesian Young Entrepreneurs Associations. It has about 30,000 members. And HIPMI has been very active in not only empowering young entrepreneurs, but also teaching them and preparing them for becoming a leader in many types of sort of like professions, be it as business leaders, but also as policymakers. Some become very successful politicians. The most successful politician is Pak Jokowi, who came from the HIPMI branch in Solo. And currently, some of the HIPMI members serve in the government. I was chairman between 2005 to 2008. Few ministers serve post my time in HIPMI. So basically, you guys in Malaysia have this Bumi Putra policy. We did not, and we don't have at the moment. So HIPMI has been the one championing that local entrepreneurs would have a place to actually contribute to the economy, as opposed to the big multinationals, the big samurais, as you say. So this is the platform that from Abu Rizal Bakri to Abdul Latif to many of the local entrepreneurs, been able to rise through the rank, successful business leaders, successful policymakers, and then some of them turns to become great policy advisors as well. And this HIPME, I think when I was chairman of HIPME, my counterparts here in Malaysia, they don't have the equivalent of HIPME, but we did at that time with Dewan Muda UMNO, but related to the party. Not HIPME is across parties, so we have
For the whole country.
for the whole country.
I see. How did you make that spread throughout the country instead of being
Because of this micro, small, medium enterprises presence, so HIPME has been able to recruit these MSMEs across Indonesia, all the way from Aceh to Papua. We have the same sort of like common denominator, which is like we are going to grow our business. We need to survive during crisis, and we need to collaborate and help each other.
For my own researchers here, I think we should definitely look into this, what we can learn from them for Penang and so on. Any questions from the crowd? Yes.
Good afternoon. Selamat siang, Pak. I'm Dr. Wong from INTI International College Penang. And I just want to share, actually, I did a bit of research on Indonesian businesses. And I'm very impressed at the fact that in Indonesia, there's a bit of a culture of the big companies helping the smaller ones. And what I'm referring to is specifically the banks, like Bank Mandiri and BNI. They have a program whereby they adopt small businesses and grow them up, which is not present in Malaysia. So what I'm trying to say is that actually we have a lot to learn from you guys in Indonesia. And leading to this is my little pet idea that I think both countries can consider and benefit. And this is my concept of what I call enhanced night markets. Both Malaysia and Indonesia, we have this culture of pasar malam, night markets, but they are very fragmented. There's no central organization, a lot lack digitalization. And I feel that this is an arena whereby we can have a bigger company, especially like a bank, to come in and kind of help and adopt these night markets to make it more systematic, digitalize them, help manage them. And with that will benefit a lot of small entrepreneurs, because night markets, their constituents are the small businessmen, small traders. And I believe that if we focus on enhancing the night markets with the help of the government or also the bigger corporates, that will greatly enhance the economies of both countries. And perhaps, and seeing that this is a good opportunity, I just want to throw this idea. Perhaps you guys can take it up and consider it. Thank you.
That's a great idea. I think, Dr. Wee, this morning I ran through, I think, the night market near Gurney Bay, and 99, if not 100%, definitely are micro, small, medium enterprises. I came from a company that actually embody the spirits of helping the small businesses, and the company is Astra. The founder, Pak William Suryajaya, was able to brought in close to 60,000 vendors. They're big in automotive, they're big in infrastructure, also agricultural, as well as finance, and they were able to bring all these small, medium enterprises, not just to support the supply chain, but play a significant role in terms of the success of the company. And many of these ideas come from cooperatives. During the independence, our first vice president, Bung Hatta, always used these cooperatives as the main pillar of our economy. and it translates to the micro, small, medium enterprises. And the bigger banks owned by the government like Mandiri, BNI, and BRI have all these programs, but also private companies. I think both Primaya and Brawijaya also have small medium enterprises, and Sariater also have small medium enterprises that work with them. So it's like an ecosystem. And I think the gentleman's idea about collaborations in the night market, I could facilitate that, because through OKOC we have many of these street vendors that could benefit from a cross-cultural, from nasi padang to nasi kandar. Now I feel hungry, but we found that actually Penang actually have a lot of culinary stories, success stories, and this is something that the ideas could be brought to a higher level of discussions.
Well, Penang people are very proud of their culinary traditions, I think, and affordable and accessible and so on. So at the think tank at Penang Institute, we've been, ever since COVID and even before, been thinking about how you help SMEs and so on, and because Penang is mainly an SME city, which suffered quite badly during COVID and so on. So we've been discussing, I think my researchers and I, on the mentorship, the culture of mentorship. And in the case of Indonesia, it seems to be something that's very deep in your culture itself. And when we talk about politics, of course, in Malaysia we have a unity government, but they're more an expression of the disunity more than, you know what I mean? It might be called unity, but because it's necessary because of the disunity. While in your case, you seem to have been able to more easily get people to work together when needed. So that shows a sign of a deeper cohesion in society, perhaps, than Malaysia seems to have achieved.
Maybe because of the brand of our democracy, because we call it Demokrasi Pancasila, which is the foundation of the country. At the end of the day, for instance, there is one party that is not represented in the cabinet, which is PDIP, Ibu Mega. But Ibu Mega continuing her position, saying that there is no oppositions. Bung Karno, her father, the founding father of the republic, created this system that everybody is part, every single political player should be working in unison for the best interest of the country. So even if you're not represented in the government, you need to make sure that you give the right inputs, so it's not just for saboing or sliding tackle any of the government policy, but you need to, because you'll get punished in the next elections, and we have seen it. Every election is always two, ladies and gentlemen. I learned it the hard way during my very not long but quite expensive years in politics. There's always continuity or change. So the people, when they see the government is doing their best to provide for good quality jobs, maintaining affordable cost of living. You mentioned affordability. It's two big issues that the countries face. Third is corruptions. Pak Prabowo is now scored very, very high on the issue of corruptions, fighting against corruptions. These are the three issues that I think all political parties would agree. And this is something that I think the unity government is actually unity government. But each and everyone is responsible to put in their best constructive inputs. Sometimes critique, There was a big fight between North Sumatra and Aceh, for instance, I mentioned this morning, about 4 islands. But in the interest of unity, Pak Prabowo stepped in, say, no discussions, no negotiations, the 4 islands belong to Aceh. Something like that, in the interest of unity.
Thank you. The idea of mentorship, it's something we discuss a lot as well. And although Penang itself, I think Penang people tend to think of themselves as rather united and so on. But when it comes to mentorship, helping the young and so on, I think we tend to, well, there's nothing to be very proud of, I think. But listening to you and what's happening in Indonesia, it's all very encouraging. And I hope that we can actually learn from Indonesia how you think and what concepts you use and what mechanisms you
Well,
put
it's
in place.
actually, if you're doing mentorship, it's for your own business anyway, because you're giving the best part of yourself, which is knowledge, to younger generations. And that would ensure that they learn not only from their success, your success, but also your mistakes. Actually, more to be learned from your mistakes so that they can avoid making the same mistakes. If they can avoid the same mistakes, then they could be probably grow much faster in terms of their business. If they grow much faster in their business, it would form a stronger economies, which is good for your business. So it's like a cycle that will help your business and your economy.
Positive spiral.
Positive reinforcement.
Right, yes.
And this is something that I believe many of Indonesian businessmen are doing. My partners in Saratoga, for instance, would allocate 20 to 30% to do social works in terms of mentorship or be involved in social programs. And this is something that actually, at the end of the day, is going to benefit their business.
Thank you. Any other question, guys? Stephen?
Thank you, Pak Uno. I saw you last time in Jakarta, but I didn't really meet you. My ex-boss is here, Dato' Sri Halim. I served him for 3 years. I just want to ask you, I was in Bank Mandiri Forum, Investment Forum. I was the only Malaysian attended the Bank Mandiri yearly forum, this last one, right? I met the minister of this investment, right? And I sensed why I flew Jakarta this trip instead of going online, because I sense a difference in Pak Prabowo and Pak Jokowi's, although they say it's continuation of the policy, but I can sense a different shift in the policy. So there's certain things differently, different priorities, right? So there's a lot of things that are different from Pak Jokowi, and that's my impression. That's why I flew down there to get a feel of the temperature. But today I just talk about medical tourism, since you have a friend from medical tourism, right? I'm currently building a platform for Penang medical tourism, healthcare tourism, with the Singapore system, right? And I was in Jakarta, had lunch with Pak Konjen, the last Konjen, Abang Suharto. He sent his regards. He told me that there's a change in policy, right, in Indonesia for the medical industry, right? There are 2 things that I learned from Pak Prabowo. The change in the policy for medical, right? You're allowing foreign doctors to practice. I'm not sure about the detail in Indonesia. That's a new thing to me, right? Number 2, there is a change in policy of the university. They are encouraging more and more foreign university to set up branch in Indonesia. So I asked the UCSI, one of the top universities in Malaysia, why did you set up a branch in Jakarta instead of Bangladesh? He said, oh, we tried, we failed. We couldn't find a partnership in Indonesia. So I'm looking at all this new area, but there's a lack of information. And as you say, that I was the one that promoting Indonesia to Malaysians for many years, right? And I feel that there's lack of information still despite all this ASEAN, we are brothers at the level of G to G, but at the level of B to B, it's still lacking. So that's my comment. Maybe you can give your feedback.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen, for the inputs. That's true, and that's why we're here, to actually broaden the B2B. I'm no longer part of government, but very close with the government. You're absolutely correct. This government is a continuation in terms of during the elections. Basically, people view that Pak Prabowo, especially partnering the vice president, who is the son of Pak Jokowi, is a continuation of the previous government. But there is some small tweak, I would say not small, but medium tweak in terms of foreign policy. Pak Prabowo is a very, very active foreign policy leader. He just got back from St. Petersburg to speak with Putin to respond to some escalations of tensions in the Middle East, for instance. He would then focus more on this free nutritious meals or makan bergizi gratis, which is a big shift towards, I guess, investing in the Indonesian future health of Indonesian kids. He also focus, or I would say, he would continue to build infrastructures like Pak Jokowi, but he would be bringing in more private sectors to fund the infrastructure buildup. Pak Prabowo would also introduce some of the more progressive policies, pretty much like doctors. I think he supports that. He already commented on that. And the Minister of Health is pushing forward to allow foreign doctors to not only in the special economic zone, but in larger settings of the Indonesian healthcare system. Secondly, for university, I think only less than 11% of Indonesians have access to the university education. So he is big into looking at institutions of higher learning. So yeah, there are a lot of now institutions from Malaysia opening up collaborations in Indonesia. We come across few already. But I agree with you. There are more works needs to be done on the B2B level. I think we take it for granted being a serumpun, because we're both, sort of like always say that we speak the same language, we share a lot of same culture, but we believe that we should integrate more of our business and economies further.
Well, speaking about integration, regional integration and so on, now when you decided on the title of the talk, we were still talking about growing protectionism because of the tariffs. Since then, things have gotten much worse. Right? We're facing World War III practically. But to look on the positive side, do you see these changes in global geopolitics? Will it help ASEAN integration? Do you think will it push us together?
I think because now the world is, we say in Indonesia, sedang tidak baik-baik saja, means that there's a lot of issues. But ASEAN, with around 600 million populations, $3 trillion of economies, provide like a safe haven. And we should look internally or regionally within how Malaysia is good for instance, medical tourism. We have the populations, but how do we work together? Singapore is financial centers. How Singapore can help fund the infrastructure buildup in Indonesia, for instance. Indonesia have abundant new and renewable energy. The data centers are in Johor and Singapore. How do we collaborate, supplying more new and renewable energies into the data centers? AI. Some countries have edge in terms of building the AI. Others are good in creative economy. For instance, Indonesia is very strong in creative economy. We're now number 3 in the world. Number 1 is the US. Number 2 is Korea. So Indonesia is number 3 in terms of contributions to GDP. US, when you talk about film, they have Hollywood, they have Korean drama. I think everybody likes Korean drama. But Indonesia have horror movies. Indonesia's horror movies are very terrifying, very scary. And we have ghosts from every part of the provinces, each wearing different costumes.
Ghost diversity.
Yeah, very unity and diversity in terms of ghosts scaring audience. So we have creative economy, and I think this could be an opportunity to work together. Join Malaysia, Indonesia horror movies, for instance. Music, I mean, US have jazz, rocks, country music. I think Korea have K-pop. But Indonesia and Malaysia share the same love for dangdut. And then now we have dangdut koplo, whereby every single song, there's a version of dangdut koplo attached to it. And it is now being used from Turkey to a volleyball league in Korea. Food, we share similarities. And this is something that I think an open options for us to integrate more.
Well, I'd always for years thought that ASEAN integration, especially economic integration, depends on when Indonesia is ready. Because I tend to think ASEAN is sometimes Indonesia plus 9, right? Indonesia has to be in on it. It has to play the central role, and then things happen. Before that, you might have Singapore or Malaysia pushing here and there, but without Indonesia leading, well, the chances are not all that great. Any other questions, guys? Fawaz?
Santiago, I just have one question. This is jumping on the last idea or suggestion that was made, and of course what you're talking about. We all aspire towards ASEAN integration. We've been talking about it for a long time. But a lot of the trade agreements, trade and investment agreements that are being written up, many times it's in favor of the aspirations of big companies, multinational corporations. And a lot of the rules are written that are not small, SME friendly. For example, feasibility studies and rules of origin. These are very complicated matters that stop our SMEs from exporting. Only 13% of our SMEs are exporting to outside of the country. What do you think about the possibilities of a trade agreement among ASEAN countries, specifically for MSMEs? Is that a possibility or not? Thank you.
The answer is yes. There's a huge possibilities. In particular, when you mainstream the MSMEs discussions to the policy level. Right now, you are absolutely correct. Most of these regional economic partnership or trade agreements cater towards the larger entities. And it tend to actually downplay the significance of the micro, small, medium enterprises. This is something that I believe one of my reasons to always bring up the subject of empowering micro, small, medium enterprises, because their challenges are the same across ASEAN countries. And if we could have that economic partnership and trade agreements empower and actually side with micro, small, medium enterprises, we could see a a much better impact to job creations, to cross-border investments.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other question? Yes.
All right. This is for both Dr. Ui and Dr. Sandiaga. When one of the things you talked about was access, right? When you first came in, the first thing you say, well, there's no direct flight to Penang. Yeah. But these are basically federal policies in Malaysia and national policies on air travel. But I think it would be a good idea to do some collaboration in that manner, whereby a lot of Indonesians do, but we still have to transit in KL before we can come up to Penang. And Penang is now growing rapidly in tourism, also, but health tourism, medical tourism business. There are actually a lot of Penangites or Malaysians in general doing business in Indonesia. It's just that there is not a common platform that we can use to expand or collaborate further in Indonesia. Maybe that's something that both Dato and Dr. Sandiaga can look at starting. We'll take the first step. Thank you.
Thank you. There are, I was told by Pak Konjen, there are about 90 flights per week coming here, but I was on the direct flight, Batik Malaysia flight from Jakarta to Penang, full. No single seat is emptied. And I think maybe 80%-ish are for medical tourism. And that's why Bu Leona and Norman are here. But Malaysia, last year, have done so well that Malaysia has overtaken Thailand as the highest number of international tourists in ASEAN, more than 42 million. And that's, I guess, the policy that have been done correctly, because tourism brings in trade, trade brings in investment, investments actually push economy. I think from our side, from the Indonesian side, we have built the airport. I think during Pak Jokowi, we built so many airports, but the mindset of my counterparts in the government have been, oh, we should be very careful, because if we allow more direct flights, there'll be more Indonesians travel abroad, which is like a fallacy, because Norman have to travel to Singapore in order to get here to Penang. So he will find a way. Tourists is, when you have direct connectivity, it helps. It helps, and let the market actually decide whether it would have more flights or not. Government should facilitate. I think this is something that I struggle during my tenure in government, and sometimes I had trouble convincing my fellow cabinet members. Pak Jokowi actually very agreeable. He said that, okay, let's have, because at that time, Qatar Airways wants more flight, Air Asia wants more flight. Pak Tony Fernandez said, I want to fly to Belitung, Sandi. Why did you change the international airport to no longer international airports? So, yeah, I guess this is something that my friends at the government now needs to hear, listen to what the market is saying, create a policy that is more conducive for mobility, for connectivity, and I think it will benefit the economy.
Well, I think from Penang side, I think the recent development is that the federal government has agreed to pay for the extension to the airport. That's the first thing. So that's where government facilitation comes in, right? You build the infrastructure and then the business takes over. I think we're on the right track, but things don't move as fast here as maybe it does in Indonesia. I don't know, but it is moving in the right direction, I think, where the airport is concerned. Yeah. Any other question? Meeting?
Andy, so I was in Bali recently and I noticed the vast difference because when we go there, there's a lot of tourism, that's for sure. But also the creative economy that is super vibrant with the latest Nuanu Creative City coming up. And of course, the number of villas then. So I was wondering if there are policies to sort of balance the SMEs there with the international investments that are being put in there, because I heard that a lot of the villas actually run by Russians. Yeah, so, and I could see there were great infrastructure, architecture. I mean, Saka Museum was named the most beautiful museum in the world this year. So, but I'm just trying to, I guess my question is, how do you then balance what is happening with foreign investors coming in as well as empowering the local businesses?
Thank you, meeting. And Bali contributes and represents 50% of Indonesia's tourism. And they're very, very, it's like what is happening in Bali is actually translated across Indonesia in terms of, and when there is a tourist behaving badly in Bali, being in a motorcycle, or there is some altercations in the bar, it's like represent that the entire Bali is facing trouble. But actually from the data, that is, although it is concerning, but it's a very small fractions, minorities of bad behavior of tourists that cause some of this social media posts or things that made it to the news. Nuanu, I will mention to, because Nuanu is owned by Russian also, but run by some very smart Indonesians, like my very good friend Prada. Ayu Prada is working in Nuanu, and they are trying to see how this influence of foreign investments, in particular in the accommodations businesses, actually would flow through and create more opportunities for the micro, small, medium enterprises. Bali is very, very popular, not only with Russians, but mainly Bali is now popular with the Indians. It has traditionally been the Australians, and it's still number one, Australians, but increasingly Indian couples are getting married in Bali. And Bali is known for destination weddings. So I asked this family who has their daughter wedding in Bali, I said, wouldn't it be very expensive to have your family wedding in Bali? You have to fly more than 6 hours and families come in. And he said, Minister, actually, it is much cheaper to have wedding in Bali, because wedding in India, long festivities with thousands of people participated, while in Bali, probably 2, maximum 3 days of festivities with only hundreds of people involved. So that's why I think we are getting more Indian tourists, definitely Chinese also. And Bali needs to also diversify. And Bali is a big island, but only few areas in the south that is frequented by tourists from all over the world. The north part of the Bali, west and east, not yet being developed. So this is something that the government needs to build infrastructures as well. And I think we are grateful for some of the investments that has come into Bali from all around the world, including Russia. But we need to make sure also that the Trihita Karana, the balance between their relationship with the God Almighty, with fellow human being, and with environmental are still strictly being upheld.
Thank you. There was a hand at the back. Josie Deck.
Thank you. Terima kasih, Pak. I wanted to just touch on your subject of the films and Serumpun. We've had ASEAN delegations all over, and this year we are chair of ASEAN. I think 2 years ago, Indonesia was chair, and you spent 1 billion. And yet we've always failed this people-to-people connection. 2014, when Thailand was chair, they wanted to do the film thing. They flew me to Myanmar to look at film festivals to see how we can do it. But I think your idea of looking down at people to people as opposed to government, without government interference of politics or policies. So I think the idea of business at ground level, people to people, might work. The other thing is, I was very fortunate to have you and Pak Christopher Toffee at a forum in Jakarta. And I said, if we had ministers of your caliber and Christopher Toffee in talking about creative industries, this is Dr. Uy. If Penang can play catch up on the idea is, what is creative industry and how do we take the first baby steps for Penang?
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Okay, creative industries. We see everybody using that big word from Taiwan, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines. What is Penang doing about the creative industry to play catch up?
Well, you mean at the state level? Well, last year Penang Institute took over the literary festival, as you know. It was because we thought the state wasn't doing enough where that was concerned, right? So I think you're right in that there's only so much the state can do, or there's only so long a time that the state can be interested in policies that do not bring immediate benefits. I think somewhere along the way it has to go down into society itself. So what you're saying about working at a lower level, or maybe analogically to what Pak Sandri was saying, that you instead of looking at MNCs, you're looking at SMEs, and then you get them to work at that level instead. I think that we cannot think too much about what the government can do for you. It back to the question of even infrastructure. There's only so much the state can do, and then it's the people themselves that has to work, and it's about finding at what level the most dynamic can be found. I think, right?
Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines is okay. For Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, working towards creative industry because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. The state has, or the country, I'm not even talking Penang, it's Malaysia too. We need to step up, at some point.
Okay, if I could put it this way, we did try to get the state to, and they have done it, that we have an exco for creative industries, right? This is just a few years old. Now the latest project we're trying to get into is to identify which creative industry carries the most potential. We can't be investing in all that appears. The latest that we've identified is maybe textiles. Maybe textiles in Malaysia could be something that Malaysia or Penang could start looking into as the industry that moves first. Batik, of course, yeah. Because I think we do have a lot of tradition in that. We have already a strong ecosystem that might not be integrated enough for it to be a regionally important creative industry. If that's what you're meaning, that creative industry not as artistic expression, but as an industry, that's what you're aiming at, right? So it can't be every creative activity that one could look at. But at the moment, I think something like textiles could be something to invest in. Regionally strong as well.
Education. Because like hospitals, we have very good schools here. But maybe we should just expand education in creative arts here.
Education. Well, yeah, that's sort of basic to government policy to handle that. You mean education in the creative arts? Yeah.
We have about 17 subsectors for the creative economy, and this is recognized by the law of law number 24 of 2019, and it contributed to about $100 billion to our economy. And the top three of the creative economy that contributes close to 70% of that GDP, around 8% to the GDP contributions are culinary, fashion, and handicrafts. But the fast growing, we are quite surprised, has been gaming, movie, music, animations, applications, as well as other more creative type of industries.
Right.
And this is something that actually create good quality jobs as well. 25 million jobs were created within the creative economy sector. So I think we also looking at how we could really digitalize, because creative economy and digitalizations have very strong connections.
Right.
And now with AI in particular, this is something that we could work together between Penang and Indonesia as well.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. Yeah, the digitalization of the creative arts, of course, had been something that Penang State itself has been pushing the last 4 or 5 years, with the creating of an agency and money into startups and so on. But all that's going to take time before you start seeing proper results. Right? And the thing is, I think Penang started rather late. One last question, perhaps, or two. Stephen, if no one else.
I want to comment about SME, right?
Sorry. Stephen, would you mind? Dr. Sri had a question.
Okay, Pak Sandiaga. Okay, there are two things that I see you could work with. Number one, I like so much on the, you mentioned on the OKOCE democratizing, yeah? How to help the training, mentoring, and the job creation of all these MSME, micro, small, medium enterprise. In 2021, my office, when I was the State Minister for Entrepreneurship, Industry and Trade, we started a campaign, we call it Penang Entrepreneurship Culture Campaign. Keusahanan satu budaya, because our Penang state vision is a family focused state, a green state, and a smart state by 2030. So we had 66,000 MSME in 2018. And with that vision, my office planned that by 2030, we could reach 100,000 enterprise, from 66,000. So among the objective is by 2030, we should have one family, one entrepreneur. I hope after this, Penang Institute could work with how we could achieve that. I'm not sure whether the present State Minister would continue with that, but it was in the Vision 2030 KPI, Key Performance Indicators, means in Penang, we like at least one family in Penang, we have one entrepreneur. That is one. Number two is the other thing. I was in Bandung, West Java. I was at the Institute Technology Bandung in 2019. Penang is a tech state. But what I was amazed is as you mentioned, the creative, how the students were so creative. While we here encourage new startup in technology, but when I met with the professors over there, I could see Bandung Institute of Technology, ITB, they produce a lot of startups commercialized in edutainment and what mentioned by Sandiaga, which is very impressive for me. and also University of Panjajaran. And this couple of two universities that I feel these areas, Penang Institute, maybe with Digital Penang, could have some collaboration to go to these places and work on this. Okay, that's my take. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Menteri. We have a chapter in Malaysia for OKOC. So we would love to join forces here in Penang. If possible, we have collaborations next week with Astro to actually spur more entrepreneurship discussions among several states, including Selangor, Perak. We will be at Ipoh, and we will end up in Johor Bahru. So we would love to also collaborate with Penang if it's possible.
Yeah.
Secondly, if I could share, we are actually pushing for our cities to be more creative. So Bandung, for instance, Bandung has been inaugurated by UNESCO as a creative cities in the field of design. And that actually took a 5 years preparations to convince UNESCO in their Creative Cities Network to see what sort of like design that Bandung through ITB and many other universities have been able to contribute. So in 2018, Bandung was selected as the UNESCO Creative Cities. Jakarta in 2020 was inaugurated as Cities of Literature because of the, at that time, governor and the previous governor as well, focus on empowering more and more libraries in the city space. Ambon has been inaugurated as Cities of Music, because when you go to Ambon, you meet 10 people, 12 can sing. In fact, they before they were born, they're already singing in the stomach of their mothers. So Pekalongan, where these batiks may originate from, has been known to be selected as creative cities. And the last one that was inaugurated is Solo as the folk arts cities. So I think Georgetown is also a UNESCO site,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, for biosphere and so on and so forth. I'm sure that it is also a creative cities if you could find one or two type of creative industries that you want to champion and prepare for the next 5 years.
All right.
And then you could actually make the ecosystem work using that platform.
Thank you. Thank you. Of course, Penang would love to be connected to the, what do you call it? OSE? Okay.
Okay, Oche.
Okay. Well, with that, I think we have to end this very interesting session. We could talk another half hour at least on this, but I think we should give Sandri a rest as well. So can you all join me in thanking Sandiaga Uno for a lovely talk and for all your advice. Thank you. And welcome back again anytime.
Pak Sandi, Dr. Wei, please remain on stage for a gift exchange.
From us, we would like to give a creative economy gift to Dato' Ui. This is, it sounds Italian, but it actually a creative economy products from Indonesia. So I'll present this to you.
event today, but of course, conversations should